I, like a lot of people I know, grew up in the evangelical church. I signed 1,000 purity pledges, I listened to DC Talk, and it was my life. Being a pastor was something I always said I would never do because my dad did it. And all of a sudden, I'm like a pastor at an evangelical mega church, which a few years before that would have been the goal. Because again, this evangelical bubble, like I built a world in it and I was really good at it. And then I met this girl. We'd only known each other for a few months before I realized like, oh, I know exactly what this feeling is. I am falling in love with this person. My whole upbringing had taught me is that like, God only exists in this bubble, and outside of the bubble is everywhere that God is not. And gay people are outside of that bubble.
There's a lot of talk about having conversations around the messy middle. That's a characterization that the church uses. Because if something's messy, I'm not inspired to get into that. We're not equipping people how to have these kinds of conversations, and not just conversations, but conversations that can lead to a new discovery of what relationship could look like in the bigness of God in this intertwined universe.
Through so many ways, I found out that God exists exactly everywhere I thought that God would not. And God got so much bigger for me. One thing I've learned through like coming out in my story and realizing that God was so much bigger, like for me to be included in the story now, the story had to get bigger. And when I look around a room like New Abbey and I see so much diversity, I'm like, we're not here so we can all leave the same. We're all here because each individual story brings another aspect to who God is and what God can do. And all of us coming together, sharing our stories, not just the person on the stage, pretending like they have all the answers. When everyone has a seat at the table and a voice in the microphone, well, now we're really talking about something.
I think too often parents, they just put their trust in a church and not in really what God wants. Yes, the unknown is difficult to walk through when you can't see it. But if you keep the love for your child in front of you, that child means more to God than anyone.
We joke that it's like recovery group for megachurch, and it kind of is. And I think there's a lot of people who go to our church who have become disillusioned with like a lot of these ideas and lights and lasers and fog machines, but still want a place to come together for the people and talk about like what it means to be human and how that's hard sometimes. New Abbey has been, for me, a place where I get to reclaim this faith tradition. In scripture, there's like a moment where Paul is saying like, why are you asking the same questions we asked in Ephesus or Galatia now? It's like, why are we asking the same questions they were asking 2,000 years ago? It's 2018 in Los Angeles. We should be thinking about this differently. We should be doing this differently. And that's the invitation for people to participate with us is, yeah, we want to change the game. We want the church to come into the 21st century, not just theologically saying like, yes, we are inclusive, all people are welcome. Yes, we are, and all people are welcome. After that, what could this thing look like? In my life and realizing the story had to get bigger, it's not just about Jesus being in a temple, it's about the whole thing being a temple. And if the whole thing is a temple, well, now what can we do?